They had champagne on the counter, keys in hand, biggest day of their lives, a couple in Phoenix, 2019, first home, a $340,000 condo, late 30s. They'd worked years for that moment. I'm Frank Mitchell, by the way, retired broker, 32 years in this industry, and I was there for that closing. 30 days after they moved in, a letter showed up, $47,000, due within 90 days. Special assessment from the HOA. Not a mistake, not a scam, completely legal, and completely their problem now. He called me 6 weeks after that letter arrived. I remembered the closing. I remembered that package they signed, 114 pages, and buried right between the lender disclosure and the title commitment. There was one document nobody told them to open. It had the answer, right there, the whole time. That document is called the CC&Rs, Covenants, Conditions, and Restrictions, and attached to it was something called an HOA reserve study. First-time buyer? Never heard those words before? That's exactly why you're watching this. Their reserve fund was at 11%. 11. The industry standard is 70. When the roof failed, the HOA had nothing. So every single unit owner got that bill. $47,000. No warning, no way out. And you know what kills me? It was all in the document, every bit of it. Nobody handed it to them, nobody explained it. It just sat there in a DocuSign folder at midnight the week before closing. If you're under contract right now, pause this. Go find your HOA documents. Come back when you got them in front of you. I'll wait. And drop a comment if your agent has never once mentioned the words CC&Rs to you. I genuinely want to know how many of you that is. Let me tell you something about your buyer's agent. They're not bad people. Most of them genuinely want to help you, but they get paid one way. At closing. Not before, not after. At closing. That means every day you don't close is a day they don't get paid. So when you're sitting across from 114 pages of legal documents, you really think they're slowing down to walk you through all of it? They're not. Here's what the industry will never say out loud. In most states, they're legally required to disclose the CC&Rs to you. Required. By law. So they do disclose it. They drop it into a DocuSign folder with 47 other files at 11 o'clock at night, the week before closing. Disclosed. Technically. Explained? Never. You're exhausted. You're excited. You click through every page and sign at the bottom. And just like that, everything in that document is now your legal responsibility. Every clause, every restriction, every financial obligation buried on page 34. Now look at this. This is a CC&R document. This is what they give you. This is what nobody reads. Inside this package, there's something even more important than the CC&Rs themselves. It's called a reserve study. And this one document will tell you whether that HOA is financially healthy or completely broke. Think about what it takes to maintain a building. A roof, a pool, an elevator, a parking structure, boilers, hallways, exterior walls. All of that costs serious money, and the HOA is supposed to be saving for it every single month. The reserve study tells you what percentage of that money they actually have. Industry standard is 70% funded. That Phoenix couple I told you about? 11%. 11 cents on the dollar. The roof was already aging when they bought. It was right there in the reserve study. Nobody said a word. But here's the thing. The reserve study is only part of it. The CC&Rs themselves have clauses that can cost you money in ways you'd never see coming. And I'm not talking about rare edge cases. I watched these same three things destroy buyers over and over across 30 years. Rental restrictions. Some CC&Rs say you can't rent your unit for the first 3 to 5 years of ownership. You lose your job. You can't rent it to cover the mortgage. I worked with a single woman in Chicago back in 2011. Bought a $280,000 townhome. Lost her job 18 months later. Rental restriction. Page 34. Her agent never mentioned it once. She went into foreclosure. Stop for a second. Have you actually looked at your contract for something like that? Pet restrictions? Weight limits? Breed bans? You move in with your dog and find out your dog isn't allowed. I've seen it. Architectural restrictions. Can't add a deck. Can't enclose the patio. Can't change the windows. Whatever you were planning, gone. All of it legal. All of it binding. The moment you closed. And none of these people were blindsided by something unusual. This is standard. This is normal. This is sitting inside thousands of HOA documents across this country right now. I want you to think about the day you closed, or the day you're about to close. You've been through 60 to 90 days of stress. The inspection, the negotiation, the appraisal, the back and forth with the lender, weeks of anxiety, weeks of waiting, and then closing day arrives. Your agent is smiling. The title company is moving fast, papers everywhere. Someone hands you a pen and points to a tab, then another tab, then another. The whole room has one energy. Let's get this done. That is the worst possible moment to read a legal document, and that is exactly when they put it in front of you. You're not thinking clearly. You're not supposed to be thinking clearly. You just survived 2 months of the most stressful financial process of your life. Your brain wants it to be over. So you sign. Everyone signs. And now everything in that package is yours. Forever. Here's what nobody in that room will ever say out loud. Your lender never read the CC&Rs. Not their job. Your agent may have skimmed it once. Maybe. The title company processes hundreds of closings. They're not there to protect you. They're there to process the transaction. The only person in that entire building whose job it is to protect you is you. And nobody told you that. Do you even know if your new home has an HOA? Right now. Do you know? Because roughly a third of first-time buyers I talked to over the years weren't even sure. Go look. Seriously. If you're under contract, stop this video and go look. About 30% of first-time buyer transactions in this country involve a condo or an HOA property. This isn't some rare thing that happens to unlucky people. This is happening on every street, every city, right now, tonight, while you're watching this. And inside every single one of those transactions is a reserve study with a percentage. That number will tell you everything. Here's how to read it. Above 70%, the HOA is healthy. You're probably fine. Between 50 and 70, watch it closely. Ask questions before you close. Below 50, you're buying into a ticking clock. And below 30, a special assessment isn't a possibility. It's a probability. Within 3 to 5 years, I had a client in Tampa, 2016, single woman, bought a $245,000 condo, saved for years for that down payment. 8 months after closing, she got a bill, $22,000, special assessment for a parking garage structural repair. The reserve fund was at 19% when she bought. That repair had been discussed in HOA meeting minutes for 2 years before she ever made an offer. It was all in the reserve study. Page 8. And you know what that means? Somebody knew. The HOA board knew. It was documented. It was sitting right there in the package she signed. I've seen this play out over 200 times. Buyer gets excited. Buyer rushes. Buyer skips the document. Then the bill arrives. Always somewhere between month 6 and year 3. Always a number that changes everything. Different names. Same story. Every single time. I want you to write something down. Not later. Right now. Get your phone. Open your notes app. Because I'm about to give you 4 specific clauses buried in CC&R documents that I watched destroy buyers over 30 years. Your agent isn't going to bring these up. Your lender's never read past page 1, so write them down yourself. First one. Special assessment authority with no cap. Most HOA documents give the board the power to levy special assessments. That part's normal, but some documents, and more than you'd think, have no ceiling on that number. The board calls a simple majority vote and bills every unit owner whatever they decide. No limit. Nothing stopping them. I watched this hit a young family in Orlando in 2004. Hurricane season that year was brutal. 4 storms in 6 weeks. The building took damage. The reserve fund was low. The board voted. Every unit owner got a bill for $31,000, due in 60 days. This family had bought 8 months earlier. Nothing left after the down payment. They had to take out a personal loan at 14% interest just to cover it. No cap in the documents. Completely legal. Every penny of it. Second one, right of first refusal. And this one's sneaky, because it doesn't hurt you when you buy. It hurts you when you try to sell. Some CC&Rs give the HOA the legal right to match any offer you receive. Your buyer offers $380,000. The HOA has 30 days to step in, match that price, and take the unit themselves. Your buyer walks. Your deal dies. Back in 2009, I watched this clause kill 2 sales in the same building in Denver, back to back. Both sellers lost their buyers. Both had to relist. Both dropped their price by $40,000 just to move the unit. That clause was there when they bought. Nobody flagged it. Nobody explained what it meant for the day they'd eventually want to leave. Third one, transfer fees and capital contribution fees. These are not your closing costs. They don't show up on your loan estimate. They appear on the final closing disclosure, sometimes the day before you close. I've seen these run anywhere from $500 on the low end to $3,200 on the high end. Money you weren't planning for. Money due in less than 24 hours. I had buyers call me in a panic the afternoon before closing because a $2,800 capital contribution fee showed up on their paperwork. They'd already wired the down payment, scrambling to cover it. It was in the CC&Rs the whole time. Page 19, 3 paragraphs. Fourth one, litigation disclosure. This one can kill your mortgage entirely. If the HOA is currently involved in a lawsuit, either suing or being sued, that building becomes nearly impossible to finance with a conventional loan. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have strict guidelines on this. Active litigation can end your approval outright. 2017, buyer of mine lost their rate lock because the building they were purchasing had an active lawsuit against the contractor who built it. 2 years of ongoing litigation. It was disclosed, technically, in a single line on page 44. By the time we sorted out alternative financing, rates had moved. That buyer paid a higher rate for 30 years. Total difference over the life of the loan, $9,400. One line, page 44. Now, I said 4, but there's one more, because this one I watched quietly ruin someone's life over 4 years. Young teacher in Atlanta, 2003. First home, $189,000 condo. She was so proud of that place. The CCNRs had an investor cap. No more than 20% of units in the building could be rented at any one time. Seemed completely irrelevant to her. She wasn't planning to rent it. By 2007, the cap was hit. She got a job offer in another city, needed to move, couldn't rent the unit, cap was full, tried to sell into a collapsing market. The investor cap made the building nearly unfinanceable for new buyers. She couldn't rent it, couldn't sell it, completely stuck. 4 years of her life. That clause was on page 61 of 89. Everything I just told you, none of it matters unless you actually do something with it. So here's what to do. 3 things. If you're under contract right now, do all 3 before you close. No exceptions. Request the full CCNRs. Not a summary, not a highlights sheet. The full document. Every page. You're legally entitled to it in almost every state. And if anyone hesitates when you ask, that hesitation is your answer right there. Request the most recent reserve study. Ask specifically for the reserve fund percentage, not the dollar amount, the percentage. You now know what that number means. Use it. And request the last 12 months of HOA meeting minutes. This is the one nobody asks for. Meeting minutes will show you every problem that building has discussed. Roof repairs, lawsuits, budget shortfalls, complaints, all of it, written down in plain language. Yours to read before you sign anything. Now there's one question, one single question, that'll tell you everything you need to know about how prepared your agent is to protect you. Ask them this. What's the current reserve fund percentage, and when was the last reserve study conducted? If they answer immediately with confidence, good. If they pause, if they say they'll find out, if they change the subject, that's your answer, right there. And if that reserve fund comes back below 50%, don't just note it, act on it. Hire a real estate attorney to review the documents. Not your agent, not your lender, an attorney. It runs around $300. I've seen that $300 save buyers $20,000. I've seen it save buyers $60,000. Actually, let me tell you about the last client I ever closed before I retired. Young couple in Nashville, 2021, $410,000 townhome. They asked the reserve question. Fund came back at 38%. We went back to the sellers, negotiated a $12,000 concession directly because of that number. Sellers knew the building needed work. They agreed. One question, $12,000, before they moved a single box in. That document has existed at every closing I ever ran, 30 years. I watched buyers skip it 1,000 times. You're not going to skip it. That's the whole point of this.